From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Kent's Meats and Grocery is much more than a grocery store. We carry a full line of quality meats, local and organic vegetables, and a large variety of fish, Green Mountain Smart Control pellet grills, and a full deli case of sandwiches and side dishes.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I want to show you this. For 67 years, this group has been putting on the Gem Show. Now, it's this weekend, October 7th and 8th, on Saturday from 9 to 5, and then on Sunday from 9 to 4 p.m., free admission. So if you're into jewelry, minerals, crystals, fossils, family fun, I mean, who doesn't like family fun, right? Yeah, you head on out to the Shasta District Fairgrounds, either Saturday or Sunday, or both. And be sure to check it out. All right, so here's the deal. You may have noticed over the last few days, especially in the valley, it's been a little breezy out there. That'll continue today. It'll continue even tomorrow. Now, I'm going to talk about why that's important and why we need to monitor that, because we do have a warming trend this week too, with temperatures in the low 90s for some of the warmer spots. All right, so let's take a look at the winds here as we take you through the day today. Now, I'm going to take you to about noon. Again, nothing major. Notice the winds are from the north at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. A little breezy for some of us, but nothing major. Now we go into about 10 o'clock and early Wednesday morning at about 3 a.m. Now we're seeing the foothills get caught up in some of the stronger winds, and not to mention the valley, now within that 10 to 20 mile an hour range. Now we're going to take you into Wednesday around the afternoon hours, into the evening and overnight hours. Still a little breezy in some spots here. So why am I pointing this out? If it's not a major wind event, it's not a big deal. Well, number one, when those winds pick up a little bit here, and that's something many of us begin to notice, and then you wonder, well, why didn't he talk about the winds or what's going on with the winds? Well, number one, I'm not terribly concerned about it. But overall, what we've got to watch for is the fact that when you do see these breezy north winds kind of at a consistent basis, even though we've seen some rain on Friday and Saturday, and things are pretty, the ground is still pretty saturated, as we get these north winds consistently, that tends to dry things out and gives us more fuel should a fire start. So I want to show you the fire weather risk here for today. Not a problem. You can see barely seeing a little bit of yellow in there, so that's kind of in that low range. All right, but check this out. As we go into Wednesday, it's a different story. We're getting into those oranges. Now that's in the mid-range here. We're anywhere between low and extreme, kind of in the high category. So again, am I terribly concerned? No. But when you have that consistent wind, and on top of that, when you got the temperatures increasing, probably up to about close to 90 for some of us in the valley, especially the north end of the valley, on Wednesday, and then it's drying out because of those north winds, you've got the elevated fire danger. So this is something we just need to be aware of as we go into the middle to latter part of the week. All right, so let's take a look at futurecast. And the clouds we're seeing this morning, especially in the mountains, they're clearing out. We'll call it partly cloudy in the mountains today. But for the valley, mainly sunny skies. And Wednesday, I think it's going to be sunny across the board for the valley, the mountains, the coast even, most likely seeing some sunshine as well. Now, as we zoom it out here, we take it to Thursday, Friday, through the weekend. It's going to remain dry. Now, we do have this weak system that'll come on through Monday. Now, as we typically see with these weak cold fronts, it does bring a little bit of rain to the coast. But then by the time it starts moving over the mountain range, the Trinity Alps, of course, not to mention just the coastal range in general, this begins to break apart. And we just don't see much in the mountains, and not to mention, of course, the valley, so it should remain dry. Now, let's talk about the warming trend, because you've got this ridge of high pressure building in. This is the warming trend. It's going to peak somewhere around Thursday, okay? And then after that, temperatures should start to slowly drop as it starts to shift back down to the south and east. Some colder air comes in from the Gulf of Alaska. Now, as you may know, may or may not know, really, is that when you get these cold storm systems this time of the year, and especially in the winter, a lot of times they just don't have a lot of moisture to work with. So they're cold, and then like that weak cold front I was pointing out, those storm systems, because there's a lack of moisture, just don't bring us a lot of rainfall, even for the coast. All right, so here's what it looks like for today. It looks pretty good along the coast here, right? But yeah, we got some pretty high wave heights, about 10 to 12 feet. And it looks like as we go into your Wednesday, conditions do not look to improve that much. Here's a look at your marine forecast for today. North winds at 15 to 25 knots. So yeah, pretty strong winds. You can see your low tide At 8:55 this morning, your high tide at 3:16 this afternoon. Now, for the immediate coast, there are no alerts, but you just need where you have those high seas as you start heading out to sea. Temperatures mid-80s, so it's warming up for the valley, 60s and 70s for the higher elevations, although places like Weaverville, Hayfork, low 80s, right? No big surprises there. A little bit warmer inland in the low to mid-80s and the mid-60s for the coast. All right, so let's take a look at your 7-day outlook. And one of the things I just want to point out, everyone across the board is going to see that warming trend this week. It peaks somewhere around Thursday, Friday, and then temperatures start to drop again after that. That's for Mount Shasta, that's for Alturas, and not to mention Susanville in the eastern mountains. That's, of course, for the valley as well. I think we could get up to 90 as early as tomorrow, but generally peaking around Thursday, Friday, and the temperatures start to drop again after that. In fact, look at next Monday. We're back down to the upper 70s to possibly low 80s. And your 7-day outlook for the North Coast region, there you can see those temperatures also increasing for the coast, up to 70 possibly by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, before we see that dip in the temperatures for the weekend, low 90s inland and mid to upper 80s for Weaverville and Trinity County.